Hello all, welcome to the second lecture of Effective Technical Communication. This is the second topic of Unit 1, which is the difference between or differences between general communication and technical communication. Now, you might remember from our first session or our first lecture that technical communication is a communication which is organization oriented. Any kind of communication which occurs within an organization is referred to as technical communication, or it can be inter-organizational as well, where the communication takes place between one organization and another organization. All right. And how is it different from general communication? Of course, we had slightly touched upon it in our previous lecture, where I had, told you that general communication is a kind of a communication which is very casual, very informal, and I had given you the example of an old lady and an old man at the bus stop who asks you about the time of the bus, at what time the bus arrives at the at the stop, right? So that kind of a conversation, which of course achieve the end goal of communicating to the other person that the bus leaves at this time and helping that person reach his or her destination. But this is general communication because this is not taking place inside an organization. This is taking place outside an organization, and it is something which is very casual, which is like a very conversational, right? Right? So this is what general communication is, as opposed to technical communication. Now, of course, there are various different features of technical communication which are different from general communication, and we will take up those differences in this session in minute details. Okay, so let us come to the first point. So, a general communication and technical communication, the difference. The first difference is that general communication carries a general message, while a technical communication carries a technical message. So, like again, I would give you another example. Like, suppose your mother asks you, what is it that you're going to have for dinner, and you answer that you're going to have this for dinner. All right. Now, this is a general communication, right? This is a casual communication. This is very informal. This is very conversational. Okay. Now, technical communication contains a technical message. How is it? What is it? Okay. So, let us take the example of your institutions only, KMEC and NGIT. So, suppose you have your examination coming up. Of course, you know about it, but then you don't know about it in exact detail, right? So, when the management, you know, intimates you about the examination schedule and the the dates of the examination, when it will be commencing, the instructions, what you are required to bring at the examination hall, and all of these things. So basically, this information is communicated to you, in the form of a circular, right? And the end goal is for you to know when the exam is held, on which dates you have which particular exams, so that you prepare accordingly and you can score well, right? This particular communication is technical communication. Why? Because it is taking place first inside an organization. Secondly, it is, you know, given to you in the form of a circular. It is not conversational in tone, it is not casual, it is a formal message that is imparted to you. Okay? Which is a formal message which is imparted to you as students who are a part of the same organization. Okay? Did you get it? Alright. Now, the next point the next point of difference is general communication is always informal in style and approach, while technical communication is always or mostly formal. It is mostly formal. Okay. So let us take another example now. Now, in case of general communication, again I'll give you the example of you know the interaction that you have with your mother, who is asking you what is it that you're going to have for your dinner. Okay. So when you are answering her, you are not saying, "Respected mother, I would like to inform you. I would like to have this for dinner." Of course, you don't need to do that, right? You don't need to be formal with your mother, right? You can just name it like, "Yeah, I'm going to have this," and she will know, right? So you're not required to be formal. But in case of technical communication, again, let us come to the example of your colleges. Now, suppose you are absent or you will be absent for one particular day in college, maybe because of health reasons or other reasons. You are required to write a letter to your principal, right? Because your absence, you can't just be absent like that, because every institution has, you know, certain rules and regulations, and you are supposed to abide by that. So the communication needs to happen based on those rules and regulations, right? So by virtue of abiding by the rules and regulations of your colleges, you are required to communicate in a very formal manner. That is the reason why you are required to write a letter to the principal, to your principal, sir. You can't say, "Sir, I'm not coming today," or you can't be just absent just like that. You need to state proper reasons as to why you are absent, and you need to give proper information that you will be absent, right? Because you have to abide, or you have to adhere to the codes of conduct of the college, right? So based on that codes of conduct, you have to communicate, and you have to be formal, and this is how technical communication occurs in an institution. It is formal because it has to adhere to certain rules and regulations. Alright, now we come to our next point. So, which is, in general communication, there is no set pattern of communication, while technical communication follows a set pattern of communication. Again, let us take the example of the dinner example. When you are telling your mother, or when your mother is asking you what is it that you're going to have for dinner, you are not saying that I'm going to have this. You are not listing out like that. You are just saying it for the sake of saying it, and you know that your mother will understand and get the message, right? But in case of technical communication, there needs to be a set pattern, right? Suppose emails, business letters, proposals, all of these writing skills, which is very technical, which are very technical, these require certain formats. You can't just write them in a haphazard manner. These require certain formats for the higher ups as well as your colleagues to understand well. You need to put your point across in a comprehensive and concise fashion in technical communication, and that is the reason why it has to follow a set pattern. It can't be haphazard. You can't just say that, yeah, this, I'm going to do this, and you can't expect them to just, understand and catch the cue. You have to present yourself in very clear, comprehensive, and concise terms. Okay? Now, we come to the next point, which is like general communication is like mostly oral, while technical communication is both oral and written. So general communication, like when it is a casual communication, when you are casually chatting with your friend, of course you do not write down whatever content of the conversation is, right? You don't need to do that, right? But in case of technical communication, of course, when there is a meeting taking place inside an institution or organization, of course the meeting is done verbally, but at the same time you're required to take down the minutes of the meeting in writing, so that you have, a recorded version of the meeting with you, okay, in writing, and so that you can actually communicate about it to the higher ups, and keep them informed about whatever is going on, you know uh, in your team, what decisions you are taking, what agenda you are coming up with. Because when you are doing it verbally, you are doing it amongst yourselves, but it needs to be recorded for them to know what is going on. It needs to be documented, right? So, technical communication is both oral and written, while general communication is mostly oral. Then we come to the next point, which is general communication is not always, does not always cater to a specific audience, while technical communication has a target audience, right? So general communication, you can just do hi, hello with anybody, okay? You do not need an agenda, particular agenda, or you do not need a, you know, you do not need a set or a specific audience. You can just make a conversation with anybody that you know, right? But for technical communication, there is always a target audience. When it is taking place inside a college or an IT organization or an NGO or anywhere, the target audience is the employees of that particular organization. Okay, and if it is, like if it is like a college, then the target audience is not only the employees but also the students, right? So the target audience for technical communication is always the people who are involved with that particular organization, okay, and not the people who are not parts of it. Got it? Now, general communication, of course, does not involve the use of technical vocabulary or graphics or these things. Like when you make a normal conversation with a friend, you ask him or her his, he or she is doing, how his days are passing by, and like what he or she is doing these days. You do not really need a technical vocabulary for that, right? You do not really need graphics for him or her to make you understand what they are doing in life these days, right? Because that is not required for a general communication where it is just a conversation or a casual conversation, right? But for technical communication, there are like various technical terms and jargons and graphics, through which you make your message understood and put your point across for the other colleagues. So it is meant for your peers, it is meant for the higher ups, and it is meant for everybody who is a part of that institution. And in technical communication, you have to be extremely precise, and you have to be extremely concise and comprehensive. And in order to achieve that, or in order to achieve these things, you need to make sure that you have and you use technical terms and photos and pictures for everybody to understand clearly what is it that you are trying to say, what your objective is, and the point that you are trying to get across. Okay, so these are the differences that we have between general communication and technical communication. I hope now you have a better idea of what technical communication is, or what it basically entails and implies. Okay. So in the next lecture or in the next session, we are going to take up